Hi, Jason Allen Griffin here, and I'm gonna go through the March 2016 issue of Fitness Journal. This is a trade magazine, so it's designed to be read by fitness professionals. And so to that end, there's a lot of articles in here about the business of training and, raising rates as a personal trainer. So I'm gonna skip those. So here we go. The first thing I come across is this article about how positive attitude is good for your health. And this is a no-brainer to me, and we've been talking about this for many years. And in fact, this magazine does tend to reinforce a lot of the same things that we've always known to be true. So not a lot of earth-shattering, groundbreaking information is going to come out of this magazine, but it's solid science. And solid science is something that continues to reprove itself, and so this is just evidence that our science still is solid. So this article describes how people with more upbeat emotions were more likely to feel energetic and motivated, and so therefore were more likely to exercise, and the more likely that people are to exercise, the more likely they are to sleep better, and then the more likely they are to have more constructive emotions, and so it's a cycle that repeats on itself. So stay happy, stay smiling for good health. Now, we've always known that type 2 diabetes increases our risk for heart disease, but this article is very interesting because it's found that the risk for coronary heart disease is twice as high for women with type 2 diabetes than it is for men with the same disease. And then, not surprising, this article concludes by saying that from a practical standpoint, at least 2 hours per week of activity was associated with lower cardiovascular events for women with type 2 diabetes. And so, again, we've been saying that for years. This is an article about stretching. And what it's found is that it compared dynamic stretching to static stretching to proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation stretching, and all of the protocols resulted in range of motion improvements that were basically similar, and that all lasted about 30 minutes. And so this is important to realize that stretching is not something that you do once and then enjoy the benefits of forever, but you have to keep redoing it over and over again. And so here's an article about a study done in Sydney, Australia, of 231,000 individuals aged 45 and older. And what it found was that people who sleep more than 9 hours a night were at risk for higher mortality rates. In addition, people who sleep less than 7 hours per night were also to be found at the same health risks. We used to use cigarette smoking and alcohol consumption as very strong markers of lifestyle-influenced health. But more and more research is showing that sleep and the amount of time we spend sitting are just as important markers of lifestyle-influenced health. So, as someone wise once said, smoking is the new sitting. Or no, sitting is the new smoking. But okay, anyway. This interesting article talks about all the things that you can change in your home environment to help influence healthy eating habits. One of the ones that surprised me was the color of your plate. And it found through a study in 2006, the study was done earlier, but it was published in a book called Mindless Eating, published in 2006. And in that book, the researchers found that the color of your plate can make you fat, which is a sensationalized way of saying that if your plate is the same color as your food, you'll serve yourself 18% more. My plates are bright blue, and so not many foods are that color, so I guess I'm not in danger of that problem. Your kitchen can make you fat. Healthy counters only have fruit on them, and unhealthy counters have cookies and crackers and cereal and soda pop on them. Basically, whatever you place on your counter is what you're going to eat. So if you're one of those people who displays the goodies on the counter, then you're more likely to eat them. The Syracuse study, it said that women, in average, who kept potato chips on the counter weighed 8 pounds more than her neighbor who didn't. You're 3 times more likely to eat the first thing you see in your cupboard than the 5th one. And so they suggest that just by rearranging the packages in your pantry, if you see the healthy items first, you're more likely to choose them. And if you keep the cookies out in front, then you're more likely to choose them. And another thing is that people tend to eat twice as fast as they normally would if they have more of it. So that people buying food in bulk will eat it faster and in greater quantities than people who buy smaller amounts of food. So all of you Costco shoppers might be paying for it at the scale. And then it goes on to talk about the size of your wine glasses. This is something that happened to me because I joined a Wine of the Month club, and as a bonus for joining, they gave me these giant wine goblets, which I thought were kind of cool. And so I was using them for a while until I realized that I was going through a bottle of wine in less than a week, which is a lot of heavy drinking for me, and didn't seem like I was drinking any more than usual. So then I switched back to my regular sized wine glasses, and my wine consumption slowed down considerably. And so even somebody as conscious as me can fall prey to how simple it is to not realize that you're pouring more into a glass because it's bigger. And in fact, in this article, they did a study where they had professional bartenders fill up glasses, some that were wide and some that were more narrow. And across the board, the bartenders poured, I'm trying to find the exact number, 30% more alcohol into the short, wide 10-ounce glasses than they did into the highball 10-ounce glasses. 30% more. This article is something called the Batman theory, where in How to Get Children to Eat More Healthy, ask them the question, what would Batman eat? Would he eat this apple or would he eat these French fries? And they're finding that most people, children, simply believe that Batman would choose the apple over the French fries and then do so in order to emulate their heroes. Further into the ways that you arrange your home to help your body. This is saying that if you just simply put a lid on your candy dish, that you can reduce how much candy you eat by a third. That was based on a study done in 2002, and then another study done in 2006 that found the same results. Also, people who serve their meals family style. What that means is putting all of the dishes on the table and giving every family member an empty plate to serve themselves from the table. Those people ate 19% more than people who were served a plate of food that was plated at the counter or at the stove and then brought to the table. And then here's something about restaurants. This part I found really fascinating. This was a poll done by 27 restaurants across the country, and it found that people ordered healthier foods if they sat by a window or a well-lit part of the restaurant. And conversely, ate heavier food and ordered more of it if they sat in a dark table or a booth. People sitting furthest from the front door ate the fewest salads and were 73% more likely to eat dessert. People sitting within 2 tables of the bar drank an average of 3 more beers or mixed drinks per table of 4 than people sitting only 1 table further away. The closer a table was to a TV screen, the more fried food a person bought. And people sitting at high-top bar tables ordered more salads and fewer desserts. Here's something that happens to us. They call it a health halo. And that's when products have health claims on them, like contains whole grains or now with 11 essential vitamins. But what they found is that people underestimate the caloric value of foods with labels like this and tend to overeat them as a reward for being so healthy. And so it's kind of counterproductive. Now here's a little quiz that you can give yourself to see how healthy your kitchen is. So for every time you answer yes, you get 1 point. And if you get more than 7 points, then congratulations, then you have a healthy kitchen. So here we are, 10 questions. If you answer yes, give yourself a point. 1. Salad and vegetables are served first, before the entree and starches are brought to the table. 2. The main dish is pre-plated and served from the stove or counter. 3. Your dinner plates are 9 to 10 inches wide. 4. You eat sitting at a table with the TV turned off. 5. There are 2 or fewer cans of soft drinks in your refrigerator at any one time. 6. Your kitchen counters are organized and not messy. 7. Pre-cut fruits and vegetables are now on your middle refrigerator shelf. 8. At least 6 servings of protein are in your fridge: eggs, yogurt, string cheese, tofu, meat, etc. 9. Your snacks are kept in one conveniently placed cupboard. 9. Your snacks are kept in one inconveniently placed cupboard. Important difference. And then number 10, the only food on your kitchen counter is a fruit bowl. So again, for every question that you answered yes to, give yourself a point. And if you answered 7 or more yeses, then congratulations, you have a healthy kitchen. This is an article about the 10 nutrition trends to watch. And keep in mind, these are trends. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're important or valuable, but just that they're happening now, and a lot of people are following them. So here we are. Foods for healthy aging and brain power, which includes omega-3 fatty acids found in fish, polyphenols found in ginger, flavonoids found in chocolate, red wine, and green tea, coenzyme Q10 found in spinach, broccoli, and cauliflower, acetyl L-carnitine found in chicken, beef, milk, and cheese, antioxidants found in coffee, and anti-inflammatories found in cinnamon. So, trends, in my opinion, are always to be taken with a grain of salt. Staying power is what we're looking for, which is why we see the same articles, the same studies finding the same results over and over again in this magazine. Those are the ones we want to gravitate towards, not trends. But since they're happening, let's talk about them. So that was 1, healthy foods for healthy aging and brain power. So 2, local sustainable foods. 3, milk products. Real quick, in a study found in 2015 found that higher consumption of butter, cream, and high-fat milk correlates to lower levels of central obesity. That's something that I've made a change in my personal life. I've added more butter and more whole-fat dairy products as opposed to low-fat and non-fat dairy products. And I can't say that it's associated with lower belly obesity because I've never really suffered from belly obesity, but it has increased my enjoyment of life without making me more fat. And it hasn't changed my numbers. I get my numbers, my blood work checked regularly. My triglycerides and my cholesterol are all fine. They never changed a bit from switching from low-fat to high-fat dairy products. That said, I don't consume a lot of dairy products anyway, but now I'm switching from the non-fat to the high-fat, and I'm finding I enjoy them more with no detrimental effects to my health. Anyway, on to more trends. Online healthy food boutique memberships, healthy snacks, superfoods, gluten-free, sugar substitutes, wine, and other beverages. I have a lot to say about all these topics. The amount of gluten-free foods increased 63% from 2012 to 2014, which tells you that it's just a recent development. And they say that far more adults say they're trying to reduce gluten from their diet than actually suffer from celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. So it's a trend. Just like baggy pants or dyeing your hair blue used to be a trend. They'll be gone. Anyway, moving on. This article says basically that, interestingly, people will opt for a smaller meal if it includes a prize. So like you might opt for half a bowl of soup if I said you could have this elephant with it. And interestingly enough is that people who choose that smaller bowl of soup don't tend to feel hungry later. And this is the problem with people who go on diets or restrict their caloric intake, is that they feel unsatisfied and end up overcompensating by overeating later. But the people who are given a toy along with a smaller meal tend to feel satisfied because the same reward, desire, and motivation areas of the brain light up when given the toy as do when they're eaten the full meal. So they don't compensate for missed calories by eating more the next day. Another little tidbit, one sentence here, one quote from Dan Barber, who won the James Beard Award and wrote The Third Plate, Field Notes on the Future of Food by Penguin Press, 2014. And his quote is, "In the rush to industrialize farming, we've lost the understanding, implicit since the beginning of agriculture, that food is a process, a web of relationships, not an individual ingredient or commodity." And this goes along with what I've been saying ever since I've been doing this work, is that you cannot take a vitamin, like you can't take vitamin A from a carrot and put it in a pill and then give me that pill and say, here, take some vitamin A, because of our very limited knowledge of how vitamin A works in concert with everything else that's found in that carrot. So there may be bioflavonoids and other properties of the carrot that make the vitamin A more available to us and more efficacious in our bodies, that when you take the vitamin A out and give it to me in a pill, that's just not going to happen. So that food is a process, and it's a web of relationships and not an individual commodity. So eat food, not pills. And this article talks about some of the new words that have entered our language thanks to nutrition in the past year. So forgive me if I'm butchering these foreign pronunciations, but I'm going to read you this list of new words. Banh mi is a Vietnamese sandwich. Halloumi is Turkish cheese. Mochi is Japanese rice confection. Bibimbap is a Korean mixed rice and vegetable dish. Churrasco is a Portuguese grilled meat dish. Foodspo is a social media term for food inspiration. Hangry is a new compound word, meaning it's a combination of hungry and angry, touching on how people tend to get irritable when they're hungry. And then finally, a climatarian is somebody whose food choices are designed to reverse climate change. We've known for a long time that heating up a glass of milk and drinking it before bedtime can help a person relax and ultimately get better sleep. But this study done in South Korea suggests that it makes a difference when the milk is drawn from the cow. And milk that was drawn from a cow at nighttime has 24% more tryptophan than milk taken from cows during the day, and 10 times as much melatonin. Both tryptophan and melatonin are implicit in helping us relax and sleep. And so this, what they call night milk, is actually more conducive to rest and relaxation because it's taken from the cow at night. Another article here about something called acai bowls, which speak also to how I believe about smoothies. And it's saying that these bowls, which are basically about $10, and they're filled with fruit and frozen acai pulp, soy or other types of milks, granola, chia seeds, chocolate chips, coconut flakes, peanut butter, etc., etc. People eating them should be advised that they contain extremely high amounts of sugar, 60 to 90 grams of sugar per serving, and have a high calorie count. So they're maybe not as healthy as they might seem. And the same can be said for smoothies, and even more so if the smoothies are blended, then a lot of the chewing action, which triggers digestion, and a lot of the fiber is eliminated, and therefore making the sugar more readily available, and so the food itself is less healthy for you. Here's another article, here again, showing the extreme health benefits of drinking coffee. And this is kind of a bone of contention for many people, and I don't know why, but the studies just show over and over and over again. And this one is a study that took place over 30 years and included, actually it's a compilation of 3 large studies, all done simultaneously and done over a period of 30 years. One study included almost 75,000 women, and another one including just over 93,000 women, and then another one 40,000 and a half men. And so 40, 130, almost 200,000 people over 30 years. And the conclusion was that moderate consumption of coffee may confer health benefits in terms of reducing premature death due to several diseases. Moderate coffee consumption can be incorporated into a healthy dietary pattern. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day may be less likely to die prematurely from illness than those who don't drink coffee or who drink less than 3 to 5 cups per day. So sorry, tea drinkers. Just kidding. But stop giving me a hard time for drinking my coffee. What I will say is that coffee can sometimes serve as a vehicle for consuming a large quantity of unhealthy other foods, like many people will include sugars, sweet syrups, artificial sweeteners, or heavy cream products in their coffee, which changes the results that we're talking about here. Okay, so this is a study done on bacon, and also it included salami, bologna, hot dogs, and other deli meats, or what we collectively refer to as processed meats. The upshot of it is that the American Institute for Cancer Research recommends avoiding processed meats except on special occasions. They conclude that eating about 2 ounces of processed meat each day leads to an 18% increase in colorectal cancer, which nobody wants. But on the other hand, researchers at the Harvard School of Public Health, which studied heart disease and diabetes but not cancer, they conclude that 1 serving of processed meat per week is associated with low risk of heart disease and diabetes. Recommendations for eating processed meat are basically only on special occasions, which is 3 ounces per week. Now this article is interesting about strategic standing. And so this is something that I might put together in a different video to just demonstrate all these different types of exercises that a desk-bound person can do to increase their health. And here's an article that describes a yoga workout that I might put this together and make another video out of that. This is it's a monthly feature in this magazine, and it's exciting new kinds of fitness classes. So this month they talk about Dash 28, which is 28 minutes of interval on the treadmill. Speed running, which is really good. And then here's one called BYO Baby Bar, which is a bar class. You know, the bar is the bar up in the mirror in a ballet class. And so now it's become trendy to do fitness classes based on ballet warm-ups. And no, this one is called BYO Baby Bar, which means to wear your baby in a wrap and to bring that to class. So that's popular. Here's something called Brolesque, which is a masculine version of burlesque dancing a la Magic Mike. And so that's been gaining popularity. They're talking about Ageless Grace, which is a program created in Georgia with seniors in mind and targets people who believe their range of motion is limited. And so it allows them to work in chairs and to do joint mobility and blood circulation exercises. And then finally, they talk about something called BrickFit, which is a 3-station circuit training class, including cycling, suspension devices, and treadmills. So that's trendy. What's this? An article that talks about how visualization is so important as the #1 mental toughness tool. So if you can visualize it, it does a great service towards helping you accomplish something. And I've used this for many years on my clients and on myself. If I have trouble preparing for something, then I visualize myself doing it, and it helps me not only mentally prepare for it, but then I also believe that it helps my performance because my brain has already gone through the activity successfully. And so that's it. Thanks for reading with me, the Fitness Journal, March 2016 annual nutrition issue. If you like this video, please let me know and I'll make more. And if you don't like it, then just ignore it and I won't make any more. And finally, before I leave, I'm going to talk about this article here on page 8 of the magazine. It talks about tips for creating engaging videos that elicit more views. and I did it all wrong. Basically, it says to keep the time of the video no longer than 5 minutes, to incorporate more clips and cuts so that it's not just me sitting here talking as a talking head for 20 minutes. Minimizing the noise. I believe that there's not a lot of excess noise around here, and to mind the light, so I guess I found a good well-lit spot. But on these last two, keeping time and incorporating more interest in the video, I guess I didn't do those, so I'm sorry, but I just wanted to get through this information. Now, as a reward for those of you who made it to the end of this video, here's a picture of my dog. Hi, River.